What was the most horrific thing that you saw while you were there?
Honestly, it was when that pedophile guy came in. The way they beat him. I mean, he was trying to put his hands down on the floor, and all his bones were broken on his hands. So it looked like Jello. I can't even explain it. It didn't even look real. It looked like a cartoon. And the way that they were beating him, and the way they stuck the broom, like it was. I had never heard a human scream like that. And you know, I've done damage to people. I've seen people do it. I had never heard a human being cry like that. It really changed me that day.
Did it compare to anything that you saw in American prison?
No. You know, American prison is more like fights, stabbings, you know, stuff like that, you know. And Mexico is like rapes, murders, hangings, lynchings. It was completely different.
And the affiliations that you had, you know, in the streets, they play a role while in prison?
Not in Mexico, only in the United States.
How did that happen? How did that work in the United States?
Well, in the United States, you know, my street gang is pretty much in every federal prison you can think of, or state prison. So Land Kings are pretty big. So yeah, I mean, you find your way. As soon as you walk in the door, I mean, they tell you where you're gonna sit, where you're going, where's your people. You know, you have to go and check to see where your people's at.
And before we leave the Mexico prison experience, what was one way that you had to adapt quickly? Whether it be, you know, relationship building or mentally, something that you had to change about yourself to survive?
I wouldn't say really changed because I was already numb. I was already violent. I was already a lot of things that I guess I needed to be while I was there. And if I wouldn't have been those things, I wouldn't have survived. I picked up a really bad drug habit while I was there, and I mean, not even that couldn't numb the pain, that couldn't numb the voices, nothing. I mean, it was there.
Yeah. So then you're in that revolving door of American prison, coming back out, going back in. Do you think there was any type of self-sabotage?
Yeah. There was times that I started to feel that I was better off in there. I felt smart in there. I felt like I was somebody in there. And, you know, I didn't have no education. I didn't have no job skills. I didn't have a lot of things that like normal people, I guess, have out here. And I would get frustrated, and you know, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I have to believe that I threw the wrench in the machinery to make the machine break and send me back. You know?
How did you spend your time in there? Was it complete? You said in Mexico that you started using things to get high. In American prisons, how did you use your time?
It's very different in American prisons because it's very political. The gangs, it's mandatory to be on the yard. It's mandatory to work out. It's mandatory for everybody to eat together. There's just a lot of things that are mandatory that you're not gonna do your time peacefully. You're not gonna do your time, you know, on your own. You're gonna have to ride it out with your crew, and if your crew gets into a fight, then you're gonna get into a fight too. So it's pretty much like winging it every day in there, man.
So in the middle of going in and out, you came into contact with some unlikely people, from my understanding. Tell me about your involvement, meeting, and being around the rapper DMX.
Well, I met him through Cato, one of my very close friends. He was starting his own record label in Chicago, and he became very good friends with DMX. I was always with Cato around those days and that time, and so I got introduced to DMX, and me and him hit it off. I mean, he was a cool cat. My job was just, keep him safe. That was it. Like, watch his back. Whenever he was in Chicago, same thing with Cato. So when I ended up moving out here to Arizona, he had a house out here. I became part of the Phoenix Rough Riders. I mean, they say it's a motorcycle club, but it's a gang. When you have a bunch of grown men, fighting together and doing everything together, it's either the military or it's a gang. So, yeah.
Spent a lot of time around him. What was the most surprising thing, maybe about his personality or anything that he did in those days?
He was really humble, man. He was really humble, and he loved performing for his fans. Everywhere we went, there was a performance in the parking lot or inside the restaurant or a prayer. I mean, we were always somewhere stuck because he would take the time, to talk to everybody. And we just sat there and just, soaked it in, I guess you could say.
DMX was always kind of one of my favorite artists because of his boldness, with the prayers on stage and the songs. And obviously he glorified some other things, but it made a big impression on me as a young kid. There's not a lot of masculine type dudes, at least, that kind of talk about Jesus like that. So I'm curious, did he ever, in your conversations one-on-one with him, did he ever bring up God or, I guess pray at unlikely times, or was there any type of spirituality, I guess?
I mean, with him, there was. He talked about it. He prayed. Back then, I didn't. I mean, I would put my head down and he would pray, and I would kind of just do what everybody else was doing, but I wasn't listening. I didn't believe. I was mad at him if he did exist. So there really wasn't no talks about that stuff with me at least.
As a kid, did you have any thoughts on God?
Not really. I mean, the way I looked at it, I just felt like I got dealt a really bad hand. I didn't choose to be put in that situation, so I was kind of like, if he does exist, I mean, why is this happening to me?
And you, I assume, kept that opinion for a long time?
Very long time. I was very mad at him for many, many years.
When did that change?
In 2019, my wife started working at the gym where I worked at. And she was always talking about Jesus. And I kind of liked her, but the whole Jesus thing was throwing me off. And I didn't want to hear about it. And the more we talked and the more I got to know her, I guess you could say I got curious because she was always happy. She was always happy. She was always, in a good mood. She was always smiling, like just full of joy, I guess. And I thought it was fake. And I would tell her all the time, I was like, why are you pretending to be so happy all the time? And I didn't understand it. I didn't comprehend it, and I just couldn't understand how somebody could be, full of joy like that.
And then, 2019, are you out of the revolving door of getting locked up, or where were you with all that?
I had just got out from the last revolving door that I had violated my probation from getting out in 2014. I violated in 2016. They sent me back for a year, and I was back out again.
When you were in prison, you hear the term jailhouse religion. Did you see any of that, or did you come close to any of that in there, or were you too obligated to the members?
No, we seen it a lot in prison because a lot of gang members that get scared when they get sent to higher security yards because they know, bad stuff's gonna go down. They pretend to be Christians. They pretend to go to church. They pretend to, follow the religion. But then you catch them, smoking weed or looking at porn and stuff like that, and they take that very serious in there. Like, you don't play with that stuff. Even the guys that don't believe don't want to mess with it, because if it's true, they don't want that karma. So they always tell the guys, they always tell the guys that want to go that route into the religion, yes, you could go. The gang will leave you alone, but if we catch you doing something, you're gonna pay the consequences. And that's how it happens. A lot of guys get beat and get taken off the yard because of that.
Did you ever see at least one person that did, actually become a Christian or born again, or was it all?
No, I seen a lot of hardcore Christians in there that to this day, now that I know the truth, I have a lot of respect for them. I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for them, because for them to maintain that Christian-like manner in a place like that, my respects. My respect.